God do you good. It is my pleasure that you have already walked with me, and I believe that the journey have already started. I expect that we are going to walk together in these days of uncertainty, and by the end of the day, the name of the Lord will be blessed. Always let us join me online. Come from the book of Daniel, chapter 4, verses 34 through 37. At the end of time, I, Nebuchadnezzar, raised my eyes toward heaven, and my sanity was restored. Then I praised the Most High, I honor and glorify Him who lives forever. His dominion is eternal dominion. His kingdom endures from generation to generation. All the people of earth are regarded as nothing. He does as He pleases. With the power of heaven and the power of the people of earth, no one can hold back His hand or say to Him, "What have you done?" At the same time that my sanity was restored, my honor and splendor were returned to me for the glory of my kingdom. My advisors and nobles sought me out, and I was restored to my throne and become even greater than before. Now I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise and exalt and glorify the King of heaven, because everything He does is right, and all His ways are just, and those who walk in pride He is able to humble. Our dear Heavenly Father, we are so grateful for your word. Thank you for reminding us once again that you are powerful, and you do everything with a purpose. That's why we are trusting unto you and looking ahead to be helped by you, O Lord. We want to confess that we rely on you wholly. We cannot rely with our own strength. We cannot rely with our own wisdom. We cannot rely with anything that you've already blessed with, O Lord. We look unto you, dear Father, once again, that you do us good. Remember each and every one of us, bless us and do us good. Let your word, the one that you've already spoken unto us, pertaining to your powerful action and powerful deed that you did there before, may it happen to our life, so that we stand and say, not us, but you alone. For I pray in Jesus' holy and mighty name. Amen. It is a pleasure for us to hear the word of the Lord, and it is good because the word is perfect, and the word of the Lord is our light. Let us live to enjoy it day in, day out. And today, God has already blessed me in the word of the sovereignty of God, under the theme attribute of the power of God. We have read about the story of Nebuchadnezzar, how he was humbled by that great God, how he came to a point of recognizing that Jehovah is supreme. Nothing and nobody in the Bible have affirmed the fact that Jehovah is sovereign as the Nebuchadnezzar did. Thrice he has repeated about the power of God. The first time when Daniel, in chapter 2, when Daniel interpreted the dream to him, he came to a point of accepting that Jehovah is supreme. In chapter 3, once again, having put the three Jewish guys in the furnace of fire, when he found the fourth person in fire, he once again said that surely there is God and His power is supreme. Now, emphatically, he also repeated the same in the text that you already read, that when he was subjected to suffering, even being led to the wilderness, where he was he was fed by grass like an ox, having the time become ripe and his sanity restored. He said, actually, there is God, not only God, a powerful one, and nobody can question him, his act, nor can even pardon what he has already done. He says that God is just because he has found him being just. And that is why this today is good we echo the same, that our God is gracious and God is wonder-working God. He is the creator of nature and has power to control it. And he has done it there before, and he is going to do it today and even the day to come. Over the time, in my walk with the Lord, I have already learned about the God's sovereignty, and I have already seen either through the experience in the work of salvation as he continued redeeming the world, and also occasionally I have already looked how he have already established the nation, and I found that not an ordinary person can do that one. He is only the powerful one who can establish the nations and establish the kings, and establish even not only the kings, even the prophets and other people, because he is a powerful one. But coming back to the Christian walk, we give verbal assent to the doctrine of sovereignty of God. But in actual sense, when we come to the practice, sometimes we seem doubting God's ability to perform as per his power. Many a time that we sing hymns, songs, affirming the same, but when we are being tested, we fail the test. We start doubting whether God is so powerful as he has been claimed, or as he is finding God as he is helpless. But it is good to understand his power is supreme. He established the nation. He established the kings. He controls the nation, and he also does many other things. When we are talking about the sovereignty of God, we are in a constant claiming that God is able to do that he prays. Not for any other reason, but for his own glory, according to his character. In affirming together with Psalmist in the book of Psalms 24, he talked about how God is powerful, the mighty man of war. He is a mighty man, and also he can do many, many, many things. In accepting the same, that God is powerful, we also need to acknowledge that it's nothing too hard for him. As recorded in the book of Genesis, chapter 18, verse 14, when Abraham said that is nothing, what God already promised is possible, because nothing is too hard for him. It is the same sentiment that was echoed in the book of Luke by the angel when they visited Mary. They repeated the same. Is there anything too hard to God? You are doubting that you are going to get a child, but there's nothing that is too hard to him. When God's power is infinite, and it's not limited to doing only what we can see, or actually what he has already done, or what we know he has already done. God is able to do more than that. He usually do things that we even cannot conceptualize or get to know, and that's why Paul was confessing to the Ephesians church in Ephesus, and also encouraging them to believe in God, the powerful one. He said that he is able to do above what we can thought about or what we have already done. The same concept we need as a Christian today of thinking God doing more than what we expect him to do. John the Baptist, while he was arguing or while he was talking with the people in the book of Matthew chapter 3 verse 9, he said God is able to do beyond what man can do. He was telling them that he is in a position to raise the people from the rock that were there. So God is happy, and his power is not influenced by our dream. We cannot limit the power of God. Not anything or anyone, as a Christian, as a champion, this doubt the sovereignty of God, the power of man. To embrace this fact is hard. We are in such time that we think that God is not powerful. When we see many things that are happening, we seem to doubt. The greater problem is when we doubt the power of God, because we are going to be led, just like Nebuchadnezzar, to the hard fact lesson, to understand what he have already done. God had to afflict the king Nebuchadnezzar to coerce him in order to declare the force of God, the sovereign. Well, when we acknowledge that God is powerful, is good, because the truth of his sovereignty is not easy learned. So we need to have that knowledge that is limited to many Christians, limited to many people, that either an ordinary person cannot understand. It needs a divine revelation. The divine revelation is progressive as one wishes. To embrace this concept, one must be a believer. Just think and have a look of the story of Elijah being fed by laughing. I many a time think about it and just imagine how on earth meat-eater bird carrying meat to Elijah, not one time, but many a time. To conceptualize this thought is amazing how God can do. God also used Elisha, while believing that God can do above what man can do, he pressed the stick on water, and the iron axe floated. It is being recorded in the book of the 2 Kings, chapter 6, verse 45. This is a power that a common man cannot understand. This is a secret of God and only revealed to his people. If divine revelation is not sufficient, sometimes we are stuck to come back to the sense that there is a power of God. We will not wait until we are struck, just like Nebuchadnezzar, to come back to our senses, to realize that there is a power of God. When people are talking of God is powerful, singing aloud that it is the heart of God, it is usually resonate well because things are okay. But when God allows something that we do not wish to happen, something that we found that are not in line in our thought, we seem to react by resisting whole issue of sovereignty of God, whole issue of how powerful God is, and we seem to dim his power. Well, God, whatever he do or whatever he does is for us to look for comfort, to find the comfort in his power. But because of our lack of knowledge, because of inadequate knowledge of God, we become upset with him. the famous question that every one of us usually ask: why does He allow that to happen? Where is God? That by itself is an indication that we do not have enough knowledge of who God is, nor about His power. Therefore, today, I would like to share 3 things. A very simple fact that we need to embrace, that we need to put in our consideration as we continue. The issue number 1, there are simple things or simple ways that we can learn the power of God. And also there is hard class for the hardened people, for the radicals to learn the same. My advice to you today is that let's learn in a simple way. Don't wait, you don't harden your heart so that you may graduate to go the hard way, to understand that God is sovereign, to understand God is powerful. Just like the way Nebuchadnezzar was led in that class. Eventually he graduated to declare that God is sovereign, having repeated it once or twice. But this time he failed the test until he graduated. That's why the opening word in chapter 4 verse 34 is when time became light. He had suffered enough to learn about the sovereignty of God. Therefore, my advice once again to you is that learn in an easy way. Let's learn about how God is in an easy way. Number 2, God does everything with purpose. God does everything with a purpose. Many people do not understand the purpose of God unless God Himself reveals to them. That's why we are talking about the divine revelation. That is why we want to stress, unless God reveals His purpose to His people, we may not understand the purpose, even the time that we are passing through. But God usually reveals His purpose to the people that believe in Him. Number 3, and this is a fact, and nobody can refuse to understand or to accept, that is nothing, and nobody can defeat God. Our powerful God, the God that have already defeated many people there before, the God that have already led people to win the war, the God that in the book of the Romans we get the solace when He says that if God is for us, who can be against us? Because nobody can defeat God. So any time that you stand on the side of God, you are assured that the victory is sure. No matter the situation that we are going through, no matter the thing that you are passing through, when you stand in the side of God, you are sure you are the winner, you are victor, because nobody can defeat God. Just put in consideration that when you are in God's side, you are more than victor. Therefore, to conclude, have a look of your life, whether you have already limited the power of God to work on you, and whether you can resonate together with Nebuchadnezzar, say that God, whatever He does it right and just for His purpose. So God bless you. God do you good. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.